Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is G. Cole, and welcome to Homegrown, where I get to share with you some good music while talking to some great people. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do, so we can keep you updated when new material is available. We will be posting new episodes bi-weekly. Also, check out the website Homegrown with G. Cole to listen and for all things homegrown. We're also very, very interactive. Please follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook at MyGCole. My name is G. Cole from the podcast Homegrown with G. Cole, and we're just chopping it up in the midday hour, right? It's midday somewhere. It's 1 o'clock our time, or we started at 1 o'clock. I just want to thank you all so much for joining the party. We are going straight in. I'm in Florida, the United States, of course, for all those people watching from all across the globe. We are a nation of immigrants. Whether folks want to realize it or not, this country is built on the backs of immigrants. And a lot of times when we talk about immigrants and stuff that people endure, a lot of times some people talk about it from a second person's perspective. You know what I mean? From what's given to them and told to them by the people in the situation. But of course, for those people who are in fact immigrants, we know. All right. Now, one thing, and people can attest to our repute when it comes to immigrants and us from the Caribbean, one thing I did notice, I will say this. Bless up, Suzanne. How are you? Large up. Congrats again on that brand spanking new single, Crazy. Love it. A lot of people will be able to tell you this. Coming from places like Jamaica, there's always an ism going on, right? There's always an ism going on. You can't escape it. You can't get away from it. The ism that we see a lot in Jamaica more than anything else is not to say that racism is not there. It is there, but the ism we see a lot is classism. Classism. When you grow up in Jamaica, classism is a major factor. You could be green, you know what I mean? Your money's right, then the folks with the money kind of hang together, you know what I mean? The elites. So when you're in Jamaica, you're talking about the upper class, the middle class, and the poorer class. And none of this has to do with class per se. We're talking about financial, disparity. So that's the major differences when you're coming up in Jamaica. I'm going to presume it's the same thing in other Caribbean islands. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that racism is not there, but I'm just saying the major ism that we encounter is classism, right? So moving to a country like this, a lot of times we've never really been faced with it. But a lot of times people are from different vantage points. I'll say this. I remember one time I had a friend, African-American lady, and we were all like a close-knit 10, 12 of us. We'd go out all the time, hang out at each other's houses, whatever the case may be. And once we were out and we're at a restaurant, and she received what she deemed ill service, and she detected some undertone of racism to her, but I couldn't see it, I couldn't hear it, I couldn't feel it, because again, it's not my reality. You got to realize a lot of the things that the folks in the U.S. grew up and saw in terms of discrimination is what we read in our history books in Jamaica. All right. But she saw something, she felt something that I couldn't, and many others with us could not. And she was highly offended by it, and it ended up being a situation where we actually ended up having to leave the restaurant because she was upset. However, we that's our friend, and we had to support. We supported her, and but it's something that we just couldn't immediately, right then and there, grasp. And and of course, I've always seen and heard the tones going on here and what people complained about, and some of which I couldn't understand. So we'd always take the stance of, well, you can do this, you can't make that bother you, and whatever the case may be. As I grew older, wiser, learned more, I started realizing that there's a reality that some of us can't even grasp, even though we're of the same skin tone and same ethnic origins. But from a nationality standpoint, because of the fact that we weren't born and raised and from the United States, there's certain things that we cannot really grasp. I started rethinking how revisiting how I thought about stuff and how I saw stuff, because of the fact that, like I said, when you're in Jamaica and other parts of the world, some things that you see, the oppression you see, a lot of it is from your history books. Right? The slavery and all them things. We're talking about a nation that's dealt with slavery as well as segregation and all that stuff. And to be perfectly honest with you, some would say the segregation era was even worse than the slavery era. and think about it for a minute. It probably is. But you're dealing with people who they're not that far removed. You know, if they have, if genetically, you know, they have people who live long, you may have somebody in that house that great grandma still alive, and great grandma and great grandpa was a victim of slavery, and if not slavery, segregation, and a victim, of course, of you know, all that stuff, right? And the pain is real for them. The reality of it for them is a lot different than it is for us. So that's something that I had to educate myself on, and over, you know what I mean, and develop that sense of empathy for, and not just myself, but many others. So it took me some time. Of course, I saw her pain, I felt her pain, and I knew something hurtful occurred, but exactly what it was, even when it was explained to me, couldn't fully grasp it. I was just a support system. But after years and years, I realized it, and I personally have not been, you know, subjected overtly to racism, but I've had my share. There was a company I was working with. I was an area manager for a company, and you're talking about construction, but not just construction. You're talking about maritime construction. So you're dealing with folks who are from the, you know, what they would deem the backbones of certain parts of the world. They travel all over the country to work, and you know, my immediate staff, my people who work for me, I try to give them as much info as I can, because that was done for me. One of my VPs, Jamaican gentleman, big up yourself, Dave. Once I came here and I started working for him at Carnival Cruise Lines, he educated me as much as on finances and on a lot of ways to invest and stuff like that, and, you know, getting involved in 401k early and all that stuff. And because of the knowledge that was shared with me, I was never really behind the 8 ball. So it was imperative of me to kind of do that for my staff too. So a lot of people who knew nothing about 401ks, and even if they did, they didn't have an interest in it, I would try to share that information too, just to make sure that at least they had the opportunities that I had. And it doesn't matter what their backgrounds, what their races were. Ignorance is something that, you know what I mean, stems across all borders. You have people think that, you know, you only have poor black people. Yeah, some ridiculously poor white people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you only have ignorant black people. You have some ridiculous ignorant white people, and of all races. So, you know, we just have to share the information with them, and the misconception that all of them have, you know, affluent backgrounds and so forth. Definitely a myth. So as I'm learning this and I'm dealing with other people, I remember there was this one gentleman that he was an outside machinist, so he's a craftsman, and maybe a talented one too. For some reason, he never lasted long on many jobs, so that wasn't, but I don't think it was because of lack of talent. But I had him going to a place for a job. Now let's talk about the financial part of it. This is a guy that had zero money, broke as a joke, right? In order for me to get him from point A to point B to go do a job that I was giving him to feed his family, I also had to give him a cash advance. I had to give him gas money to get to the job. I had to give him a cash advance to find somewhere to stay because he was sleeping in a truck, right? So that's, and I'm only saying that to point out the financial aspect of it. No, he ended up getting fired from the job for something he said, and he actually he didn't know I was on the phone when he was saying it. His words exactly was, he doesn't work with, I don't know, N-words and spics, which is, I guess, the racial slur for the Latin community. So he doesn't work with either. Now, don't get me wrong. Most of my employees that are black, that are Latin, the minority, they're way better off than he is. But I grasped from him at that moment in time that it didn't matter what the color, what his financial situation was. In his eyes, he was better and superior because of the fact that he was white, right? And those are the things that I saw. Now, my name is Gregory Cole. When I'm on the phone, oftentimes you might not be able to tell what my ethnicity is on the other side of the phone if you're not keen, and also if you're not exposed, because that's what the thing is, it's exposure. When you're exposed to people from Caribbean communities and so forth, you can tell. The most people compare it to is maybe an English accent because of the fact that, you know, our schooling and our education system is based on the English, on the British system. So what we'll have happening pretty much is people on the phone and they don't know what you look like, and sometimes they get comfortable enough that they say certain things, and you learn and you realize. and then you see the color fall from their skin when they come to the office to meet you, to get them a job, to put them in a position to feed their family. After certain things that were said or whatever the case may be, you don't make them any wiser. Right? And then we come. So that's been my exposure to it, but I haven't had any direct and overt experiences with racism. Right? So why this thing came up, these are crazy times, and we know about what's going on with George Ford. That's on tape. There is no question about it. He was murdered, right? He was murdered, all right? But not just by the gentleman who did it, but by the other guys here who aided and abetted him. Because in a court of law, if they were on the other side of the law, they would be saying, hey, that person aided and abetted, that person committed the crime, right? If you kill somebody, the driver is guilty too, that took you to and drove you away from it, right? The people who came along with you on that mission that ended up in somebody's demise, they're all guilty, right? Even though you are the one that pulled the trigger. So right there, I see 4 guilty people. Some people say, it's evident, the system's gonna take care of it. You never know that. We've seen videos before, we've seen images before, still got off. It's a system, all right? And it protects criminals that are behind a badge. We can always sit down and have a conversation as to why they protect those people. They protect them. Half of the reason they protect them is because they don't want to deter other people from coming in and saying, I don't want to go over there because this type of person I am, and I'm not going to have the protection. So that's some of it, right? But I don't even want to go into that conversation too much until I have somebody from law enforcement sitting down with me, and I'm working on that. Hopefully we can get that done. But the video with Miss Cooper in Central Park, right? Somebody sent me a message yesterday. Somebody I know very well. Somebody I grew up with. And I'm going to tell you this. It hurts my soul. Political affiliations got nothing to do with anything. Be a Republican, be a Democrat, whatever you want to be. I don't care, right? It's about your morals and your scruples. The problem with politics and being politically affiliated is that oftentimes when you do so, you choose the moral code or the lack thereof of the party you're affiliated with because of the fact that all you care about really is them being in office. Right? So if you support, because the reality of it is everybody who, whether you watch a program or not, that supports a Democratic Party, right? All the things that you condemn and come down on the Republican Party for doing, if the Democratic Party was doing it, you wouldn't say jack. And then all the people who are on the Republican Party that condone the things that the Republican Party does, if the Democratic Party was doing it, you would say it was wrong. So to me, that's the reason why I don't like politics, all right? Because it's a situation where your morals and scruples have to be fluid. If you decide you want to be involved in politics, if you believe you want to be very political, and how do I know that too? Because I see the people on Facebook that post things and they're political people. Morals don't matter. Whatever happens over there, even if it's blatant, they start sitting down and dissecting how can they defend it, right? So, boy, Maria, I understand completely. Hey, Marlene, Hope, congrats, Mitch, congrats, Amani. And that's what politics does, right? So, I had somebody come on. I posted a picture of the last 4 things that we've been dealing with, all right? 4 of them in the last couple of months, and like a collage, and then I put a caption underneath it. And somebody came in trying to be and said, hey, did you see the picture? And I said, the video. And I said, yeah, I saw the video. And then they're like, what do you think? And I said, well, it was clear, you know. I saw it from where he was telling her to put the dog on a leash, and she was telling him not to record her, and so forth and so forth. And that's where I saw it from. And he wanted to take it as, okay, so you agree with me. See, people are saying, and I said, no. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And then we got into the video. I generally don't engage people on social media. I only did it because this is somebody I know. And this is somebody who, I see a couple of people who, I don't know if it's where they land when they come in the U.S., but they take on this. I'm talking about Jamaicans. I'm talking about black people who take on this tone of, I'm going to defend racism. I'm going to defend racist folks. I'm going to defend republicanism. I'm going to defend everything over there because they think they get something from it. I am convinced, because I've had conversations with people who think that saying I'm a Republican is a social up, right? And also feel like somehow, some way, if I keep endorsing things on Facebook, somebody from that community is going to reach out to me and I'm going to benefit from it. I've had those conversations with people. And for the 1 or 2 people who are honest, they're agenda-based. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, we also have inferiority complexes too. There are a lot of people who are not comfortable with their skin color and not comfortable with their background. They've been taught that. And then you have some people who just have that kind of personality. I've seen people go into communities, all of a sudden, we all grew up together the same way, right? And then all of a sudden you see them acting the tough way and endorsing everything bad and endorsing that artist and endorsing those people that do ill deeds. And you realize what it is. It's fear. You went into that area. You were very fearful. So instead of standing your ground, what you decided to do is be a choir for those people and say you're supporting them and so forth, because you'd rather be the friend than the enemy, right? And that travels with people, and people with those type of personalities will take on all kinds of stuff for the agenda that they're trying to support. Now, right now, we're talking about situations where no matter what, now don't get me wrong, you can believe in your political policies all you want, your political beliefs, but if you see that person doing wrong and it's blatantly wrong, how are you going to defend it, right? Now, in the last year or two, this person I'm talking about has blatantly, every time something comes up that was racially biased or some act of racism, they were on the forefront of trying to defend it. So right now they're here defending the Central Park lady, saying, well, the man should have minded his business. Why was he filming her? Right? My thing pretty much is, if it was on the flip side, you would be saying the complete opposite. But again, I always say, and this is somebody who has endured his little share of racism too, but it's kind of, they take the agenda of, I got to do this for myself. It's going to be better for me, so I'm going to be a puppet. And the unfortunate thing is, it's somebody that's a bright person too. Again, I've known all my life. So we're engaging on social media, and I feel bad doing this, but I have to. I only do it once or twice a year when he posts some crap that on my page, that is. But we engaged, and I had to highlight the ignorance. Now, what I saw pretty much, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was somebody who knew that right now, with the tone and the current of the current climate in this country, law enforcement, if called to any situation and there is an African-American man involved and a white lady there, it's highly likely they're coming there already predispositioned that he's the villain and we're gonna harm him. And not just come there to exercise the law, but they're probably gonna harm him. So what you're doing is using the system as your bully, because the system is so designed and is now operating as a bully pulpit, as a bully platform, right? So what you've done is you wanted this man to stop videoing you, right? Because of the fact that you're in a place where you're not supposed to have your dog off the leash. You have your dog off the leash. This man is a bird watcher. He's an avid bird watcher. Some of the birds are on the ground and the dogs will attack them, which is the reason why the people have the rules. Not only that, but there's flora and there's fauna that contributes to the scenery of the place that the dogs will dig up and all those things. So he saw that and he said something to the lady. Now, this dude that was engaging me is saying, why is he filming the person? You know why he's filming the person? Because right now in this day and age, especially if you're a black man or a black woman, once somebody engages you, it doesn't matter who it is, you probably need to start filming, because that's the only thing that may save you. It may not save your life, but it may control the narrative. Because the first narrative that's going to be painted, if there's no video evidence of it, is that you were the aggressor, right? And you had ill intent, right? So that's why people continuously film stuff. So that's why he was filming it. But what she did pretty much was she decided to use the bullies that she had on her side, which was law enforcement. And she threatened the man and told the man that, listen, stop filming me or I'm going to call the cops. He's calm as ever, sitting there saying, man, put your dog on a leash. And she's saying, I'm going to call the cops. And you heard it. And I'm going to tell them, it's a threat. And I'm going to tell them that an African-American man is threatening me and my dog. He never threatened. He never did anything. All he said was, stay back, stay away from me. Right? But she was using law enforcement as her threat. Right? I'm going to call law enforcement. And then when she got on the phone with 911, then she even started selling it. She went into full actress mode. You know what I mean? Almost crying on the phone, exercising that privilege that she has. All right? Now, here's the thing. What she's doing there pretty much is saying, for lack of a better word, I will kill you. But I don't want to go to jail. So I'll use the legal authority that I have to kill you, which is law enforcement. And what do I use to pay, to trigger, to send out my goons? My skin and gender. They work together right now. I am the damsel in distress. I'm the white woman. So I'm going to call my goons. I'm going to call my thugs. I'm going to call my gangsters. I'm going to call my homies in blue. All right? I'm going to call my Nazis on you. All right? And I'm going to tell them that you are threatening me and my dog. And here's the deal. She tossed the dog in it too. Because you know, right about now, nope, you did not just violate her. Oh, you violated the dog. Are you crazy? Because there was a lot of comments that went up. And some people weren't even too carried up. Because people see that what she did was wrong. But a lot of people were ignoring the fact that she was wronging someone. All they focused on was the fact that, yo, look how she's treating the dog. Right? They need to get that dog away from her because she is not taking care of that dog. Look how she has the dog in a chokehold. And most of those people who said that never once said, damn, you're trying to get this man killed. Because remember, put it this way. You always think about the young woman or the young man who's going to school or just living his life and somebody bullies him and he's got a gangster brother or a gangster cousin and he calls and say, hey, such and such mess with me. And they're like, what? Who is he? What's his name? Where is he? We on it, right? That's what she did. But she's only able to do that because she knows that it works. She knows that law enforcement are killers. Now, my thing is, am I saying everybody is? No, I'm not saying that. But we have killers amongst them. And right now, the tone is set from the top. And they are protected. And it seems to me like the MO is go out and do what you've got to do. We'll try to protect you. If something happens to you, it's just because we couldn't. All right? But we're going to try our endeavor best to protect you. You may get fired. 2 months later, you get your job back. Wipes your slate clean. Don't worry, your pension's still here. It's all good. So that's the tone that's set from the head. Right? And so what happens pretty much is she knows she's got her trigger man. She knows she's got him. And the sad part is she doesn't even have to talk to any one person in particular. She just has to call. Once the bell is rung, it's highly likely that whoever shows up is going to execute the agenda, especially she's in Central Park, wherever she is. She knows what time it is. And she used white privilege. She used racism. She used the fact that there is police brutality out there. She used the fact that police, think about, wow. Watch the video. I'm not playing it because I just don't want to, right? So she used all of that to execute her agenda, which is pretty much, you know something? You're out here filming me, telling me I can't do this. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get you killed right now. I'm calling the homies. And I'm going to walk and they're going to walk because your life means nothing. How dare you? You know what I am? I'm a lady. And you know on top of that what I am? I'm white. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? This jackass, I'm going to call him, that's my brethren, was a jackass, was there telling me that he should have minded his own business. Why is he? It's like one of those situations where anytime, and I don't get it, anytime something comes up where somebody has been wronged, right, when there's racial injustice, this fool pops up defending it. It's about 3 or 4 of them on social media that I know of. There's a lot of them, but I'm talking about, you know, the jackass posse, right? And they'll come out there and they'll defend it. Why is it? Why? I'm saying to myself, why don't you just sit down and shut up? If you really don't, if you have an inferiority complex and you don't want to support your own race, it's all good. But why are you getting ahead of it? Why are you trying to be the defense? Why are you trying to be the attorney for the villain just because? And I've heard the same people say out of their mouths, when they moved to this country, here's the first thing I started hearing. Jamaicans. I started hearing, oh, there's a problem. Oh, these damn Jamaicans. Marky, you're Jamaican too, you know. These damn Jamaicans, something happens. Somebody stole something from me. It's got to be Jamaicans. It's damn Jamaican. And you say the evolution, right? Evolution. And then all of a sudden you start talking about, oh, black people don't do anything. It's all white people are great. White people have never done us any wrong. Everything I've gotten from white folks, but I've never gotten, and you see the evolution. And you see the evolution. And then all of a sudden now, You start championing stuff and start posting stuff. And you're telling, we had a conversation way before it evolved to all this. When they're laughing, oh, it's an agenda. I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to promote this and that. But you watch it get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Originally, I posted something about friends because we're talking about friendship. This is somebody I've known all my life. I am embarrassed. I feel I am ashamed. I'm talking about brother, like almost like a brother, right? So that's why that one hits home to me. Most of the other stuff, whatever. And I don't engage a lot of the stuff on social media either because this, I'll be honest with you, every now and then you just got to slap somebody. And that's kind of what it was. Because it's the type of people who can dish it out but not take it. And when you give it back to them, then they're kind of like, oh, well, all right. No, you know what? Let me go before I start getting disrespectful. What? We're talking. You're talking crap, and I'm giving you the facts, right? Because what happens to a lot of people is they like to hang out with people who they feel like are a little less intelligent than they are, so that whatever they say, the person's going to be like, yeah, you're right. Even if they don't know it's right, but they're saying you're right because, hey, you're smarter than me, so you must be right, right? So if somebody engages them now, then all of a sudden you realize they get flustered and they can't handle. And that's kind of why I did it. But at the end of the day, it's a crazy thing to see people with such inferiority complexes, right? Such, man, it's sad. It's sad. You know what the saddest thing about most of these things are, though? The saddest thing about most of these things is that these folks have children. They have children, and they're going to teach the kid the same thing. That's the thing that saddens me more than anything else, because it doesn't stop with them. You see, a lot of the things that they lost, right, or a lot of things that they are doing right now and they're exercising is what they took up at an early age. So it's a calculated thing for them. I mean, as an adult, so it's a calculated thing for them. But their children will see that from childhood up, so it's going to be normal for that child. You know what I'm saying? Let me see here. She has lost her job, severance package or not. Here's the thing. And of course, she lost her job and she came out and she apologized. But the climate is as such right now that we can't even say that she lost her job because they saw it as wrong. You don't even know if it's just a PR thing, like, okay, we don't need this bad press. And I don't want to be negative and not give them the benefit of the doubt. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they just saw something wrong and decided I don't want to be affiliated with that. But here's the thing. She was not serious about it. She did not sincerely mean that apology. If you watch the video on all, what she's pretty much saying is, well, damn, I'm sorry the world sees me this way. And I'm sorry I feel a little threatened right now because my face was on TV. So if I walk down the road right now, people are going to look at me. Right? People are going to look at me. That's what that apology is. Man, how comes people always say after doing racist stuff, they always follow it by saying, but I'm not racist. Right? Every time somebody does something racist, they always follow it up by saying, but I'm not racist though. Or they'll follow it up by saying, but that's not me. That's not how I am. What? If you can say that, then people who are killing people should be able to say, but I'm not a killer though. Right? That's not me. You do these things and then you get up and your apology is, oh, I'm not racist. I'm sorry. Right now, my life is turned upside down. I've lost my job. I've done this. I've done that. I've done this. No remorse. No remorse. No remorse. No real, true remorse. None whatsoever. You got caught in a situation. And as a result, you lost your job. But it wasn't even about the job, because prior to you losing your job, you're complaining that people are looking at you a certain way. You did wrong. And here's the deal. Nobody just gets up and defaults to that if they've never had it in them or never done that before. You know what I mean? Oh, exactly, Carol. I don't know what came over me. You know what came over you? You came over you. The inner you, what you were taught at home. Right? And then you're going to see these people do these. Let me tell you something. Or, of course, I got black friends. Yeah. Yep. Just so you can say exactly that. Because I had friends that are white and they've exhibited questionable behavior. So, you know, we're good, but I'm not going to the crib. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. you're not racist. Then what exactly is racism? What exactly is racism? It's in your DNA. At the end of the day, I've had people get up and say, every non-black person is, and I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think people choose not to be. But if you listen long enough, every person I know that's not black, that exhibits, that I would say to myself, nah, they're not. Nah, they're not. They're cool. They know better. They're such and such. When you sit and listen to them long enough and you hear the family stories, you could tell that was their decision not to do that. But mom and dad doesn't share their sentiments, right? Uncle such and such doesn't share their sentiments. Nah. And a lot of people too who dates the black guy or dates the Asian guy or whatever the case may be, can't bring him home. At the end of the day, they're little strains that are in you. But it doesn't pop up until it needs to pop up. Until something goes wrong, then all of a sudden something flies out your mouth. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. Not you. I don't care about her job or severance package. I just don't understand why she was not charged for making a false police report. You know why she wasn't charged? Because she had two things that worked simultaneously. Put it this way. Flour and water. Dumpling that, you know. You know what I mean? If you only got flour, you shall choke. If you only got water, you shall drown. But you mix some bad boys together, dumpling. You know what I'm saying? So she had two things rolling with her. She was a white woman. Who questions that? Who questions that? You know what I mean? She was a white woman. Who questions that? And of course, with a dog. Talk about my dumpling. With a dog. She had the ackee and saltfish with it too. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them situations where, you know, people are out there like that. And she got caught. But here's the thing. People are saying, Will Smith had a post. I don't remember what the post was, but to the extent that racism has not increased. Cameras are just more prevalent. The unfortunate thing pretty much is we find ourselves many times in situations where even the film is not enough. Right? Even having footage, and this is video and audio. It's not just video, it's not just audio. It's you. Right? And how you know they took the dog. They took the dog away from her. So she was guilty pretty much of mistreating the animal. But she was not guilty of racism. What exactly is racism? Educate me, is what I ask. Educate me. Here's when I detected a hint of racism in somebody also. There's somebody who I was working with. And the person, one of my employees, and we're cool and everything. I heard a conversation that, as somebody that operates a business, operates an office and so forth, you're always paying attention. And a lot of times I hear stuff and I can't, and I don't speak on it because I don't want it to end there. I have to, if they know that I'm hearing stuff, then guess what? They're going to stop talking. Say, just let stuff be. And you have your eyes and ears in the office, and they don't even know that they're your eyes and ears in the office. But a lot of times you want to tick somebody off who's racist, be in a better spot than them financially. Be in a better spot with them in life. Have a better home. Have a nicer car. Make more money. Oh, they don't like that. Charlene, yes, I do. The podcast is Homegrown with G. Cole. It's available everywhere. Just type in Homegrown with G. Cole on YouTube. It's on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com. Wherever you listen to your podcast, it's there. So it's funny. It's funny how what people look at and think of as racism. It amazes me. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It amazes me. But it's the nature of the land that we live in. You know what I mean? Hypocrisy is the order of the day. You're talking about the place where somebody will send you to fight a war. And when you come home without a limb, they don't treat you because you don't have enough money to get treated. You know what I mean? You're talking about a place where, you can kill and rape somebody, and if you have the right connections, you're going to get off. But you could be in jail for 30 years for child support. You can be in jail for 30 years for a misdemeanor or a combination of a couple of misdemeanors. So you got to realize that laws and stuff like that, how they create them and how they are created, they're created to benefit the people who create those laws. There are so many laws on these books that were created by racist people to we can even talk. My major when I was in college was criminal justice, and I had to do a project once about crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. I don't remember the exact figures, but for the same amount of crack cocaine as powder cocaine, you'd probably get 7-8 times the sentence, right? You know why that was? It's because crack cocaine was cheaper and was what the black people were using. That's because they couldn't afford powder cocaine. All right, so they were using crack cocaine. So they put the heavy laws and the sentencing on the crack cocaine. But the powder cocaine had a lighter sentence because it was a recreation drug of the affluents, the Kennedys, whomever. They were heavy into those cocaine stuff. So what would happen pretty much was, if you got caught with powder cocaine, but if you got caught with crack, you got to go to jail. Why? Because crack was what the black people were using, right? And it's just a testament. I hate having to even think about stuff like these, but this is where we live. This is where we live. And we speak of it as though it's second coming of heaven. You know what I mean? I love my freedoms. You know, I had a buddy of mine post something the other day that the other ism that he encounters, that classism thing runs deep too. Because there's a lot of people living in countries like this who think that because you're from what they deem a third world country, you should be doing worse than them. I got a certain type of look and a certain type of attitude from folks when they realize or I express that. To be honest with you, I grew up in Jamaica, but I was way better off than you are. I grew up in a home. My mom and my parents owned that house. I grew up in the same house from I was a baby till I moved to this country. I've never moved. And I'm talking to people who live in a country that change an apartment. They move from one apartment to the other every year because of financial reasons. Right? My education. You know, I have to, you know, it's a lot of stuff. Just having things that they didn't think you would have there that they never had here. And you get that resentment because it's a programmed ism. No, that could be racism too, but I'm going to put that on classism. Right? I've seen that. You know, I grew up around the tourism industry in Jamaica, and I'd see people come to Jamaica and act like they are from the most affluent place when they just cashed out a credit card to come on a vacation. And when they come back, it's as an adult now you see it. You realize, so people are suffering. But then they'll cash out something. They'll go to Jamaica. They'll figure out how they're going to pay it back when they come back, or not pay it back at all. And they go to Jamaica and they're in another country, so they're acting like we are superior. When most people in other countries are better off than you. You know what I mean? Yes, there are people starving in other places, but there are people starving in the U.S. Right? There are people starving in the U.S. The poverty here is immeasurable. And not just the U.S., but many other countries that think the same way. All right? I've seen some ghettos in Europe that would make the ghettos in Jamaica look like Club Fed. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. So be thankful. I have a lot of friends in Jamaica that, you know why I moved to the U.S.? I moved to the U.S. because my parents made me move to the U.S. And they had already invested money in it, so I came. I didn't want to go. But that ain't the reason I didn't want to come. I'm going to be honest with you. They were coming here. Wagwan Hugo, Sharon, how are you? They were coming here, and I'm going to be honest with you. Me and my brother, what was in our mind was, yo, I had a good job. I left high school. I was working at the bank. I was making good money. I didn't have a mortgage, whatever the case may be. So all I was going through my mind was, yo, if my mom and my dad are gone, and it's me and you, player, right? We got a car. I got a good job. You're working too. Bruh, honeys. That's what I'm thinking, right? But outside of that, I was happy where I'm at. And I'm from Jamaica. I love it there. I didn't want to come. But, you know, they it costed money. So who am I to say I'm not going to do that after I spent all that money? And I came here. First couple of years, I really wanted to go back home, right? Then, of course, I had my daughter, and this is her life, and this is what she knows. So then, you know what? This is going to be life for me. But I have people right now in Jamaica that you couldn't pay to move to live in the U.S. You couldn't pay them to move here. You couldn't pay them to move here. Right? It's not. We do have our liberties, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not knocking anything, and I don't want to sound like I'm like bashing the country. But I'm telling you, the system here, the culture, because we like to. Here's a part that I don't get. I'm not gonna say that it is so or not. People talk a lot of times that they're not very that the racist population of racism is small. Right? It's small. It's just loud. I don't think so. I think it's way bigger than they wanna let on. You know, again, I always talk about Florida. People talk about Florida. I live in South Florida. But let me tell you something. South Florida is Miami, which has its own share of racism. Fort Lauderdale has some of that too. I don't even want to say Palm Beach, but yeah, you can call it Palm Beach, a tri-state area. But you see, after that, when you start heading north and central Florida, nah, man, racism is crazy up there. And we're talking about just Florida, one state, right? One state. And you're going to tell me that the numbers are this. It's no different from when they talk about police officers. And I keep hearing that it's a few bad apples. How comes anytime the bad apples are out doing bad stuff, there's never any good apples around to say don't do it? If it's just a small amount of bad apples, how come when the bad apples are doing bad crap, the good apples are never around to say no? Now, I'm going to do some math, too, because the numbers it's all about the metrics. So, it's about the bad apples and the few bad apples. There were 4 police officers there. And I'm going to say 4 officers killing that man because they all contributed to his death. There were 4 officers there killing that man. And they were all 4 bad apples. So you're telling me that it just so happens that these bad apples get to go out in the street and the good apples are in the office? The good apples are patrolling Las Olas. The good apples are patrolling Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? Is that what you're saying? But the bad apples like to be out in the street? Because these bad apples are popping up every day and every other day. And they're aggravating people. And here's what's happening. Again, it's making people think evil. Because I don't want to put certain things out in the atmosphere, but I don't know I'd probably be a dead man if that was my brother. You know, there would be a couple of dead people there, and I know I would be one because I'm outnumbered, and the system is just, they're going to do that. You know what I mean? But there's no way I would have what it takes to stand there and anger not take over me. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Is what I will say. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Midday Link Up right here on Jamaicans.com. There's a lot of things we talk about, and of course, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, just think on these things, because crazy times. And the sad part about it is nothing shakes us anymore because we see it too often. You know what I mean? Nothing shakes us anymore because we see it too often. Politics uses to overshine racism. Racism uses to support politics. They all go hand in hand. Right? I've said this over and over. I said I see everybody as a human being, but cops and politicians and so forth, I can't say I'd be proud if my child said, hey, I'm going to join the police force. I'm going to support you in whatever you do, but I'm going to pray that you don't get in. You know what I mean? Because I don't see any nobility in it. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend any of the police officers, but I think it's a shithole. It's a cesspool. Yes, there are good folks out there, but you're good folks existing in a bad area. Now, let's talk politics. If my kid came and told me they want to get into politics, I'd be just as disappointed. Because I think it's a cesspool too, and I think politics being a cesspool is not an American thing. It's international. It is what it is. But I gotta go. I gotta go. I love y'all, man. Thank y'all so much. Remember, it's the Midday Link Up right here on Jamaicans.com. And before I go, I love these memes and these videos, right? What I like about them pretty much is they do take our minds off of some things. There's a lot of bad things happening out there. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm the type of person, I watch it 20 times and my wife is just looking at me like, this fool right here, because I'm just dying. When I saw this one, I said I had to share it with y'all. Check it out.
Right, what's going on here? Undercovers are pulled over car. They've asked the Donny, what's your name? He said it's Trevor, but they can smell weed. So they've tried to arrest the Donny. Yeah, but this ain't no normal Donny, because the Donny name is Trevor. Right, and I can tell you now, there ain't enough officers to arrest this Donny right here. Because this Trevor, yeah, is eating jollof. Yeah, chicken stew, peanut butter, right? And rice. Yeah, peanut butter soup and rice. Right? Do you know how hard that makes you? And look, he's just took gas into the eyes. Do you know what that means? This Trevor has 3 different fishes on bloody Fish Fridays. Right? It gives you an extra coat so it can take the gas. Right? And I'm telling you now, you need a minimum of 15 officers, yeah, to arrest a Trevor. Yeah, 3 can't do it. As you can see, Trevor is just dragging them everywhere. Right? And they're just coming with him. Yeah? Right? And everyone looks stressed. Yeah, the officer looks mad tired, and Trevor just keeps dragging him because he's going to get his chance to escape. But he's taking a beating. Yeah, as you can see, he's taking a cosh to the head, to the body. And this officer on the door, yeah, he looks mad tired. Yeah, he's had enough. Trevor has dragged him up and down this road. Yeah? So the moral of the story is, yeah, officers, yeah, if you pull a car over, right, and the Donny's name is Trevor, right, just tap the window and say, yes, my Don, keep it moving, yeah? Because I ain't got the energy for you today. Right? What's going on?
Be safe, be kind, and be good to each other. My name is G. Cole, and this is Homegrown.